Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lifehacks for Working Moms, the podcast that helps you overcome the overwhelm, embrace the chaos, and cultivate a life you love. My name is Megan Strand, and I am, as always, psyched to be here with you today. This whole month, we're talking about creating a happy home, and today, that means talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is food, real food. I don't know about you, but I am pretty obsessed with providing healthy, real food meals for my own tribe. And sometimes I'm really, really great at this. Sometimes not so much. It all comes down to my own personal time and my own organization. And sometimes just having good ideas. Today, our guest is going to regale us with all sorts of mouthwatering suggestions. Brandie Kajino is the food maven behind the popular Spoon and Saucer blog, where she shares great stuff about real food. Hey, Brandie.
Hey!
I'm so happy you're here today.
I'm happy to be here.
Before we take our spoon, I guess, and dig into this dish of deliciousness that you're going to dish up for us today, you are also a busy mom like the rest of us. So I always just like to ask guests, what does your daily existence look like? How are you balancing work and kidlets and cooking and all of that stuff?
Oh, sure. Yes, I too am a busy mom, and I've been working at home since 2005. And daily, I'm not only a busy mom, but I'm also a mom of a competitive swimmer. So I spend a good 6 days a week toting him back and forth between our home and the pool.
Wow.
Which sometimes is really great because the summer, it doesn't suck to be poolside. I'm going to tell you that much. But there's a fair amount of transportation that goes on going back and forth. So usually our day starts out with me taking my son to school. I drive him to school instead of him riding the bus. And I actually really like that, by the way, if anybody's ever considered that, because we get some really good...
Totally. I was just thinking about that this morning.
Yeah. They're only 5-minute talks each way, but somehow it kind of gives us this buffer between the real day and everything else. I don't know. I really enjoy that. So anyway,
it's like a private space. Exactly.
It's kind of our little time together. So I really enjoy it. And he's 12 going almost 13. So
wow.
It's pretty important for us to kind of stay connected and communicate. So I really treasure that.
Excellent.
But then he goes to school and I come home and I either go about my shopping like I did today since we were out of food and I need to go get some of that. So, and then I'll usually either that or I'll stay here if I've got a lot of writing to do, emails to answer, kind of all the things that come with running a website and everything that goes around it. And then in the afternoon, I go pick up my son, bring him home. He does homework. I put my mom hat on. And then he goes to swimming for a couple of hours later in the evening where I'm, catching up on whatever is left for the day for work and also prepping dinner and just kind of getting ready for the evening. And then when he comes home, it's pretty much family time after that.
Excellent. Love it. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a minute about real food because this is your big thing. So talk to me about your philosophy on why this is so important and even what your own parameters are around what real food is and why you choose to feed your family what you do.
Real food to me is something that's recognizable and doesn't have, I don't think a long ingredient list, because if you've ever looked at what goes into Indian curry, I mean, there's a big, long list of things that go. That's why I buy it, just to be clear. But I don't think a long ingredient list necessitates it being fake food, quote unquote. But real food is stuff that you would recognize, spices and fruit or vegetables or meat or dairy or, whatever your dietary choices are. Stuff that you would know what it is without having to whip out a dictionary. So, things that end with LY or XY or...
Really, that string of consonants is pretty much something to stay away from, right?
Yes, exactly. The XY especially. So or ATE, ATE. So there's lots of, additives that go into food. And again, I don't necessarily think that all of those are bad. I think you need to do your homework and figure out which ones you think are okay for you. But generally, I think if you're talking about real food, I'm talking about fresh food. I'm talking about the stuff that I get in the produce section or I get in, in the dairy case or what have you. That's what I'm talking about.
So how just a personal question, how militant are you about this? Because there are some people that will not eat anything that is not a real food. Are you like, will you give your kids some Triscuits? Or does it have to be?
Yeah, I would. And and my kid, and I say it's like 90-10, and sometimes, let's be honest, it's 80-20.
Right. That's still pretty darn good, Brandie.
Yeah, I do enjoy a crunchy cheese snack now and then. And I did have a Dr. Pepper yesterday because I love them.
The horror. I know. I can't believe you just confessed that.
I did. It's not the first time, I'm going to tell you, I've confessed that. I do love Dr. Pepper. But I only have it, a couple times a year.
Yeah.
So it was like a huge treat. And she said, "Do you want a refill?" And I'm like, "No, not really. I mean, yes, but no."
Oh, good for you. That's my downfall, though. If I have one Dr. Pepper, I would have 7. Maybe not Dr. Pepper, but like give me something else that's sweet, and I probably will have too much of it. So that's my own personal.
Oh yeah, I do love it.
Personal downfall.
So I think that 80-20, 90-10, whatever your preference is. For me, I know that, and recently have taken on this being a vegetarian and pretty much dairy free except for yogurt.
Wow.
Is also makes it challenging. And P.S. by the way, I also imbibe in the gluten-free lifestyle.
I know you do.
Yeah, my body does not like it at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah. So there's all of those complications. And I tried doing the vegan thing, and I'll tell you, it is challenging.
It is challenging.
You are gluten-free too.
It is challenging.
Everything has wheat in it. So I was like, okay, how about, so I do eat some fish here and there. And so I've kind of added back yogurt like weekly. But for the most part, during the week and during the day, I am definitely vegetarian. So, and I feel fantastic.
Good for you. And I think, people like me who are not vegetarian can take a lot of information from somebody like you, because I focus on the meat first, and then I'm like, oh yeah, we should have a side of, we have to have vegetables. Right. So but it's for you, it's what you're always thinking about. So I love that about you and what you're doing. So the other thing that I personally find is a challenge about food and prepping. And I love to cook. I love the feeling of being able to put something healthy on the table for my family that they'll like, which is sometimes a challenge. But the biggest challenge for me is that, there's the food prep, there's the organizing, there's the shopping, there's all this sort of logistical stuff that goes behind it. Yeah. And I know that you face this as well. So any hints or strategies there for people that are just kind of swamped for time and think of something like, oh yeah, it'd be nice to eat real food, but I've got the Totino rolls and that's going to be dinner.
Yeah. You know what? I take the shortcuts where they come, especially during the week. Because give me a break. We're all busy and we're trying to tote our kids around, and moms, whether we like it or not, we sort of bear the brunt of most of all of that.
Yep.
It's just the way it works out, and there's nothing good or bad about it. It just is. And so I think, like, for example, maybe it's helpful if I just give you an example. Last night for dinner, I love me some warehouse shopping. And so I buy my spaghetti sauce, because it's just so easy. I can make it. I totally can make it. And I do once in a while, but not on, Wednesday. So I bought some of that. I had some of that in the pantry. And, I also I got a bunch of basil from the farmer's market over the summer, and I made some basil. You can also buy it. So you can do that. And I had a tiny little bit of pork sausage, because before I went vegetarian, we bought into this pork share, and I ain't throwing it out, people. So, so I used up, it was like really like a handful of sausage, and I just kind of put it in there, and then added the tomato sauce and added a little pesto and salt and pepper taste, and, wham, there's dinner. And I just threw it in the slow cooker because I knew we were going to be rushed when we got back from swimming. So it was sitting there and just waiting for like 5 hours. And
I love that.
And I think, stuff like that just makes it easy. And I know what's in there because I can read the ingredients, and I know, it's an organic pasta sauce, and I don't always buy organic, but when I can, I do. But it was simple and easy to put together, and it was completely delicious. And we got home and dinner was on the table.
So
really simple.
Did you just have spaghetti, or did you have some sort of vegetable, the obligatory vegetable that I always feel so?
I don't.
Did you not? Oh, that makes me happy.
No, because
sometimes you just have to not. The sauce is tomato.
Sauce
there you go.
Is all vegetables. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
I have, I usually have the bagged salad, the obligatory bagged salad, and depending on what we're eating. But, I've discovered that when you eat vegetarian, pretty much what you eat is if you're doing it the way you should do it.
Totally good point.
Yeah, because I
love the
French fries and
vegan,
donuts,
right? The vegan vegetable people or vegetarian people that eat crap.
Oh yeah, and you're like, yeah, okay, technically, Dr. Pepper's totally vegetarian, but you shouldn't drink it every day. So yeah, there's that. But I mean, if you eat the way you should, and you've been eating produce all day, then I just don't worry about it.
I hear you. So you sort of flipped my order, but you started with dinner, which is fine. So because I was going to ask you to talk us through some examples of easy things, and so that's what you had last night. We're going to start with dinner because that's where you went. So we're going there. What are some other things that you think are easy for dinner that you like to make and your family likes, and it's just a great go-to meal?
Oh gosh, one that chili is always a great meal to go to. And again, this is something, I love my slow cooker. I have two actually. Yeah. And so chili's easy because you just throw everything in there and measure out some spices and.
Is it so you don't even have to brown the meat when you do? Because I ironically just made chili last night, and I always brown the meat and the onions. So you just throw it all in the cooker?
Yeah, you can. It depends on kind of what kind of time I have. You can. I think if you brown it first, it's a lot better. And the slow cooker I have will actually go on the stovetop. The insert goes in the slow top.
Ooh, I need one of those.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I broke I broke a crock pot because I thought you could put them on the burner. So I did, and it shattered into 1,000 pieces. I was like, learned that the hard way. That was year one of my marriage.
Yes, I love that thing. So if I have time, and I'll put, if you're going to brown the meat or brown the, onions or whatever, and then just throw it all in the slow cooker and leave it there. Or if you don't have time, it's, in the morning, just chuck it all in there. The really important part is if the meat, if you're putting meat in there, make sure it is not frozen because you can kill your family. That's not a good idea.
Seriously? Why?
Yes, because the slow cooker doesn't heat up fast enough to kill all those nasty bugs in frozen meat. So never put frozen meat in.
So, but you can put fresh meat in, it's okay?
Fresh meat's okay.
That's so interesting.
As I understand, yep.
Oh, that's interesting.
Now, if you thaw it out, right, if you have it in the freezer, pull it out the day before and just make sure it's thawed all the way through. That's really important.
Okay, good to know. Next time I make frozen crockpot chili, I will remember that. So here's my go-to dinner that I like, and you won't like it because it has meat in it, but whole roasted chicken. I just get a whole chicken and I rub it with salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, Italian seasonings, maybe a little bit of cayenne pepper. Pop it in the oven at 250 for 5 hours, and then it's lovely at the end of the day. And then the other thing, speaking of crock pots, I don't know, one of my friends gave me this tip, and I realized because what I was doing with the leftover carcass was just making chicken soup out of it, but it takes forever to boil that. So she was like, put it in your crock pot, dummy, overnight. And I was like, oh yeah. So then I end up getting several meals out of that because we have chicken soup as with the leftovers that I'm making from that. But yeah, that's one of my go-tos is that.
You can make stock that way too.
Yeah.
So if you throw your carcass in there with some root vegetables and.
Yep. That's what I usually do. And just
do it overnight.
Yep. It's lovely. Lovely. Okay. Well, let's go back to the beginning of the day. What about breakfast? What's your favorite go-to breakfast?
My son pretty religiously has frozen waffles.
Does he really? What kind?
Yes. We have some buckwheat berry ones, which I'm super
Are they
in love
gross?
with.
Because buckwheat can be really gross.
Yeah, buckwheat can be gross. These are so not gross.
Really?
They
What's the
are
brand?
really delicious. I think it's
Nature's Way or something?
Nature's Way.
Is that right?
It's a green label. Nature Valley, Nature's Way.
Okay.
Something like that.
Huh, he likes that.
Yeah, and they're gluten-free too, so I eat them on occasion as well.
Any protein? Do you give him any protein?
Yeah, if my husband's making breakfast and he gets the bacon and eggs thing, but I just try to make sure that he gets some sort of protein, whether that's yogurt or something like that, and I always tell him, always some sort of plant life.
Totally.
Always. So, carbs are great, but make sure you get something that, was growing out of the ground.
So what does he usually pick for breakfast then?
my son loves berries, loves them. So many times he's taking, I buy, and again, like I said, I am a warehouse shopper. So I buy berries by the truckload.
We do too.
Yeah. Oh, we just blow through them. So he'll eat those. I can go through one of those.
So you get them frozen? You get them frozen?
No, I actually, when he eats them, they're fresh. So I'm getting a fresh box of berries.
Got it. Okay.
And they last maybe 2 days, if I'm lucky. So he'll eat that, and then maybe some yogurt, or, glass of almond milk or whatever is kind of around.
And what about you? What do you have for breakfast?
When
you're not having waffles?
When I'm not having waffles, I have granola.
Oh, do you make it?
I do make it.
Good for you.
It's super easy.
Is the recipe on your blog?
It definitely is. I was just going to say that. We'll post a link. It's on my blog. Yep. And so that's easy. So I pull that out and I put some sort of, sometimes I'll put berries in there. Sometimes I'll put other kinds of fruit, applesauce, dried cranberries. That's what I did today. And just whatever non-dairy milk I have. And I happen to have soy right now, so I put that in today.
Yummy.
That's a pretty typical breakfast.
So we do a ton of smoothies, and that's what we're doing right now, but we tend to go in phases. I don't know about if you do this, but I will go in phases and eat the same thing for breakfast every day for months on end, and I'm fine with it. And I honestly feel like it makes life easier. So at one point, right now we're doing smoothies, and we put, all sorts of weird things in it, like hemp seeds and
nice.
I don't even know what else is in it. There's a bunch of stuff in it. Nut butter, almond milk, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But there was a time that, and I like this in the summer for some reason. Have you ever done soaked steel cut oats? Like you soak it in yogurt with maybe some cinnamon and vanilla overnight.
So good.
Yeah. So if you do that, like if you do a cup of each, and I can sort of put this recipe on the show notes as well, then you have 4 breakfasts. And then the next day, what you do is it turns into kind of like a muesli, and it's, kind of gummy. So you need something like milk or almond milk or something. And then we put bananas or walnuts in it too. So that's another one that I like. Yeah, I like that one.
Yum.
Yeah. All right. What about lunch? I was laughing because last time you and I talked, we were both like, I hate lunch. Like it's like an obligatory meal. You have to do it, but it's such a pain. And for me, if I don't eat a good lunch, I just spiral the rest of the afternoon. So I kind of have to, but gosh, it's a pain. But what are your recommendations for lunch? I hate lunch.
I'm telling you right now, there are times I have the same thing for breakfast and the same thing for lunch. Like I'll be like, oh, forget it. I'm just going to have a banana and some granola, and it's fine. But if I have leftovers, like right now, we went out to lunch yesterday, and so I
love
have
leftovers.
Right? So that's if I have leftovers, that's what's for lunch usually. So we hardly ever have leftover dinners because I usually eat them for lunch. Yeah. So whatever's left over, or if I'm feeling really adventurous, then I'll whip up some sort of salad. But I don't. Maybe I'm weird, but I just like the green leafy salad. I'm not excited about that.
I have a hard time with that too. The one exception to that is it's not even a salad though. Is I will make a kale slaw with just that Italian kale, so it's not quite as tough as regular kale, and then with like orange, like a juice from an orange and juice from a lemon, and just some shredded carrots, and make a big old batch of that. I can eat that every day. I love that.
Yeah.
But I am with you. What is it with green leaf lettuce? It's bleh.
I know. I do enjoy a salad once in a while, but it's got to have like a lot of stuff in it. I don't just sit down and go, ooh, yum, a bowl of lettuce. That sounds delicious. You know what I mean? It's just not my thing. I don't know.
So are you eating veggies for lunch then? Like what are you?
Yeah, like the pizza that I'm going to eat today.
Because you have a leftover. You just rub it in. Rub it in.
Yeah. I will. It's delicious and it's local, and I'll tell you where it is later.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's has like artichokes on it and zucchini and
I think I know where that pizza is.
Delish.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, I think you do too. Yeah, it's really good. So, but lunch is kind of, and there's sometimes, honestly, I'll just like phone it in and go get a smoothie.
Oh yeah, you go to Jamba.
Yeah. I Jamba it.
We do
a
a lot of Jamba, and you know, I think I would be scared to look at my monthly Jamba bill, because that's the one snack that I feel good about with giving my kids. And I always make them get. I'm lame. I make them get the all fruit ones because I don't like them having ice cream in their smoothie.
Yes.
So I make them get the all fruit one, but I feel okay about that. And then I don't know about you, I get the apples and greens because I think that one's yummy.
What's the beet? I like the beet one, the beet up or upbeat or something.
I'm not sure. I guess I'm more of a creature of habit than I thought, because I apparently am ordering the same thing in Jamba, eating the same thing for breakfast and lunch. Okay, well, let's move on to snacks, because snacks are, I pretty much eat the same thing for snacks, but what do you eat?
If I have fresh fruit, that's usually what I'm going to eat. Or I adore hummus. So I make it, and I have a video again
you
on
make
Spoon
it?
and Saucer.
Oh,
it's so easy.
We are definitely putting that in the show notes.
Oh my goodness, it's really easy. And you can or can't use my crazy tip that I give, and I'll just let you go watch the video and you can see what it is, because you're going to think I lost my mind, and I might have. But it's easy to make, and you know, I'll buy hummus, and it's okay in a pinch. If I'm traveling or something like that, and I need like a little 3-ounce type thing, then you know, I'll buy it and it's fine. But making it at home is so easy. It's so easy.
That's so good to know. Does it involve a Vitamix? Because that makes me happy too.
Nope. It doesn't? Involves I have a food. Yeah, you can use a Vitamix. I use a food processor because that's what I have.
Okay.
Yeah. It's easy. So I'll
so like
pull
hummus
that out
and
with
veggies. Is that what
celery or if I have like some whole grain flax chips, I'll do, just because I happen to buy those, but tortilla chips, whatever's kind of hanging around. And I love olives. Oh, I love olives.
And what about your son? Like when he's home in the weekend and he's like, Mom, I'm hungry. What do you? He probably doesn't dare say that to you because he knows you're going to come up with like 9 things yummy for him.
Well, you know what? I'm trying to teach him independence. So I try to keep things around, so we have always some sort of case of some kind of granola bar, because it's so easy to grab. And sometimes if I know I'm going to go shopping in the morning, I will grab one of those and just eat that in the car on the way to the store with, a latte or whatever. Or I'll take, my own granola in a little bag and kind of, shovel that in as delicately as I can in the car without getting it everywhere. But yeah, so I keep a lot of fresh fruit around. I always have at least a couple, like right now I have peaches, pears, and apples, and a couple bananas right now. So, because he loves fresh fruit, so he'll go in there. I've taught him how to cut it, and he does that whole thing. He'll also sometimes have some cheese, or like I made blueberry muffins, which lasted all of 6 hours in my house. So I need to make some more muffins.
That's pretty good with 3 of you in the home.
Yeah, and I think I myself had 3 because I tried it for the first time, the recipe, and it was pretty fantastic.
Is that on your blog too?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm working on that. But
excellent.
it was a hit, and they were gluten-free. So it was the first time I made gluten-free muffins. It's a thing. I'll tell you. The gluten-free thing.
Oh, no. Believe me, I know we've done a lot of gluten-free. I'm doing gluten-free right now myself, but I don't do it all the time. I kind of go back and forth. I definitely feel better when I'm not doing it. That's a whole other podcast to talk about gluten-free. Yeah, I'm telling you. So speaking about your blog, we've talked a ton about it. So tell our listeners, because we've come to the end of our time. So tell our listeners where they can find more about you and Spoon and Saucer.
Well, you can find Spoon and Saucer at spoonandsaucer.com. And there's an about page, so look that up, and it tells you kind of the history of why I wrote that crazy blog. And that's where I'm at. You can also find me. I love Instagram, so you can find me everywhere pretty much. Spoon and Saucer on Twitter, Spoon and Saucer on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Instagram, and I recently joined LO, so we'll see how long that lasts.
Oh, you did? I did too. I've done not a thing on it. Okay, I'll have to whatever I do, friend you on LO.
Yeah,
non-friend you on LO.
Yeah, and then I also have a YouTube channel. And if you can't remember any of that, just go to spoonandsaucer.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, there's some icons.
It's all there.
Just click, and it's there.
Excellent. We will put that in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. And you can find Lifehacks for Working Moms at LH4WM.com. And thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.